So we've had 2 weeks of the UFC middleweight division on display. Whether it was Jack versus Kelvin, whether it was Whitaker versus Till, we got one more coming up. Shabazian versus Brunson. Guys, we don't have any more clarity now than we did when this whole thing started. We really don't. And in many ways, it's very tough to have what we would call a semifinal in mixed martial arts. It's very tough to go, okay, here's the fight, and whoever wins advances to the championship round. It just doesn't work that way. By example, let's say Till would have beaten Whitaker. That's going to give you a little bit more clarity because it also allows parity. It would make Till undefeated within the weight class, one over the former number one contender, one over the former champion. Boom. He could go into Adesanya. He could go into Costa, and it's going to be brand new. Fresh coat of paint, everything's new, a whole bunch left to wonder. That's great for the business. That's what you guys like. That's what fans like. That's what media likes. It just starts to build some ideas. Well, when Whitaker wins, Whitaker's never a bad idea. He just doesn't satisfy the need for parity. Okay, fine, but hold that thought. Because it does satisfy the need for parity if Hollow beats Adesanya. Now, all of a sudden, Whitaker's looks like a pretty obvious answer. Well, would all depend how the fight between Paulo and Izzy Adesanya went, because if Adesanya gets upset, a lot of people are going to say, well, then we got to do an immediate rematch. Do you see the problem? Do you see the problem? Then you've got Shabazian, the youngest guy in the entire division, the youngest guy in the entire sport who matters. Who matters in a title picture. Let me clarify that. Say somebody doesn't matter. That would be a little rude. But for a title picture, Shabazian's the youngest guy. Last time he fought, he was 21 years old. I believe he's had a birthday since. He's 22 years old. Oh, and by the way, he matters. Oh, and by the way, he's fighting in a main event in a weight class that is in need of somebody to emerge. 85 is very fun right now. And before you think that you're going to hear any of this and go, wow, Chael, that's got to be really bad for morale for, the fellow 85 pounders with no clarity like that. No, please don't get the wrong interpretation through this. This is awesome. Shabazian versus Brunson is about to be a main event on ESPN. Do you understand the relevance of that? You understand how many guys ever get to fight on ESPN, let alone headline a show? Oh, and by the way, they're so good they can headline a show with How to Championship on the line. This is a great spot to be in. Just understand what's going on in the sport. There are some fights out there right now, truly, that are bigger than the title. We have seen that through history, but very uncommon, very few and far between. For example, whatever Conor does next. Can you think of a title fight that's going to be bigger than whatever Conor does next? Whatever George Masvidal does next? What if George Masvidal was to fight Conor? By example, there's fights out there that are bigger than the title. Doesn't mean you need to want them more. Doesn't mean you take your eye off the ball as a competitor and go out there and try to get that championship. Not at all. But it also means that if you don't get the call for the championship, you have very special things to do right now. Just ask Brunson and Shabazian.